nothing to be afraid of. Understand? Have you ever questioned the nature of reality?
We must take this matter into our own hands.
Tell us what you think of your home. What do you think of the guests? Will the things I told you change the way you think about the world?
Here we go.
Do you know where you are?
You're listening. The info, whatever you want to know, come join the info show. It's the info, the info, whatever you want to know, come join the info show. It's the info, It's the info man. You can call him information info man. Kicking knowledge all over this nation. We ain't lose the draw. You can bring your hate team, but if you want to win, please don't bring your debate team. We talking Japanese shogun, Aztecs, old mix African.
Information is power.
Wait a minute, info. 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 Wait a minute. It's the info man in the lion den. It's the info man in the lion den.
Information is power.
It's the info man in the lion's den. It's the info man, yup, it's the lion's den. Yup, you can't fuck with us, no, so stop trying then. Still, it's the info man, yup, it's the lion's den. Yup, you can't fuck with us, no, so stop trying then. Still heavyweight, so they try to infiltrate with hate. Knock my mill up off my plate, but we do not take the bait. Don't hesitate, when it's time to do it to it, we still do they bullshit like power steering fluid. Wait a minute, Lions Den. Wait a minute, Lions Den. Wait a minute. It's the info man in the Lions Den. 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 Raise your ass about your slumber. This ain't no dream. You can't fuck with Lion all info team. Raise your ass about your slumber. This ain't no dream. You can't fuck with Lion all info team. Raise your ass about your slumber. This ain't no dream. You can't fuck with Lion.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Information Man. Welcome on board. Man, Lions Den, who came on board with me tonight, and we got a few people coming over like we did last night. We have a few folks coming over from Life Machine Power's live stream. So this is sort of the after party, if it will be. Last night was exciting. We had a lot of folks that came through. Now, periodically, I'm going to push things through the social media, awaken or alert some folks out there who may discover what we're doing this late night. Yesterday was pretty good. We're trying it again. And what can I say? I'm enjoying this long weekend that I'm going to have. I've had a little time off from work. And hopefully we're going to see who we got on the panel so far. I did put a link out there. Some of the folks definitely utilize that. Let's talk. Let's continue the conversation that was happening next door, and my man LNP. So we got Lions Den on. What's going on, Lions Den?
What's good? What's good, my brother? How you doing, Info?
How you doing, Info?
I'm doing fine. We got a few folks coming on board. Boom. Let me boom. Here we go. Let me get my avatar back up there. What's going on? We got my man Preem on. We got Reg and we got Rude. Glad to have y'all here. And who else we got on here that has the blue colored avatar with no picture on it? Now, who is that?
Siova.
All right. Welcome, brother. All right. Oh, we got the classy Ruby on. How you doing, sister? Glad you all came over.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad to have you here. Now, look. Now, I know y'all was getting into some good discussion, some nice discussion over there at LMP. Just continue that discussion. While you keep the discussion going, I'm going to be pushing things out. Somebody yourself at all costs. Mute yourself at all costs. Mute yourself. All right, now, please mute yourself because it's very disturbing to the broadcast. Now, I want y'all to continue with the conversation that you were having while I do my little thing in the background here, pushing the buttons and pushing the content out to everybody out there who might be alerted to this late night party right now. So go right ahead. Lions Den, step in. I think Brother LNP had a topic about toxic people, things that are toxic in toxic in our life. I put on there, Black people speak in our mind. So go on and speak your mind. Go on and do it. Thank you. Who would like to begin first? Don't be shy.
I'll start it off.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
As far as toxic people comes, I think this is something I've said a couple of times on a couple of different people's panels, and it's about how negative people are and the issues that they come online with. You'll find that you have people that even in person they have like these negative issues that they can't fix, and a lot of people go through life not really fixing their issues, and they allow those issues to shape their narrative. Like I saw recently on O'Shea's broadcast, they have this dark-skinned sister who calls herself the world's first dark-skinned activist. And then when you hear her story, you hear her life story, and you could kind of listen to like what she's been through, and you could kind of tell that, okay, she just really needs to go to therapy. Now, she has these issues with, dark skin issues and issues with colorism. And that's an issue that most dark skinned people face. I faced it myself. I've had, girls telling me that they wouldn't date me because I'm too black. But I had self-confidence in myself. And I realized, people that say things like that are fucking retarded. So, they're going to say what they're going to say. But you can't let what people say shape your narrative. And I think a person like her allows that to shape her narrative. So then she shares that sort of negative, self-defeating narrative and victimhood with other people. And it just becomes very toxic because then you're on the other end trying to tell her, like, that's not really that big of an issue because the problem that you're having can be easily fixed. And they're so harking on, like, holding on to that pain that they have that they just want to share it and tell you that this is why I feel this way and you should feel this way too. And if you don't feel this way, you're part of the problem as well.
I see. Interesting. Well, I think Black people in general, and I've said this, we have a lot of pain. We have a lot of unresolved issues that we have not come to grips with. There's a thing called projection and counter transference. I know Classy Ruby is studying psychology. You probably know a lot about this, how people project onto you what's wrong with them. And people will do counter transference when they look at you and you may remind them of an uncle or someone in their life that traumatized them and they project onto you. So I think Black people, because we've been through so much socially, we do it to each other, which is why we have the problems that we have in some cases. We just really need to come to grips with some of our deep-rooted pain so that we can get to a solution of how to move forward from that pain. If that makes any sense to anybody.
I absolutely
it makes a lot of sense. That's good sense right there.
Oh, Rude, good to hear you, brother.
What's going on?
All right.
At the end of the day, like when I think about, the concept of colorism and, the impact, this deep, life-changing, horrible impact that it's had on dark-skinned women. And I'm not saying that there isn't an aspect of colorism. I'm not saying that, people aren't classified, the brown paper bag test thing didn't happen and whatever. But at the same time, I think about people like my mother, who walked around. She was beautiful, very beautiful woman. We look very similar, except I'm light skinned, she's dark skinned. And, for me, skin tone wasn't an issue. I didn't know it was an issue for other people until high school. And for her, it never held her back. It never prevented her from, dating whoever she wanted to date, from being treated properly, held her back from any opportunities. I mean, yeah, I'm from Canada, but still, at the end of the day, I really think that for those who had such a massive impact on, it's clearly something that's coming from within them. It's not really something coming from outside of society. But, you have another psychological term, you have confirmation bias. The only thing you're going to notice is things that confirm what you already believe. So if you believe the world's holding you back because you're dark skinned, you're going to ignore the millions of times that nobody held you back or even noticed your skin tone or mentioned it. You're going to notice and remember that one time that it had something to do with you not being able to get ahead or get something you wanted.
Is the subject colorism?
We're basically, this is the topics tonight. Hey, what's going on, man? Tomorrow, I'm glad you're with us, brother.
What's up, man?
All right, brother. What it is tonight is it's Black people speaking our minds. Originally from brother Life Machine Powers channel, it was about toxic people. So I titled it that because I wanted to make sure that we're going to be open to everything we want to talk about in this late night. So this is sort of like the after party from his program. So it's anything that's on your mind you want to throw on the table. Colorism could be one of them. Male-female relations, things that we need to be doing as Black people as solutions. Anything, brother, speak your mind.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here.
All right,
I'm glad you're here, brother. Oh, brother Rob, what's going on? Thanks for coming on board, brother.
Peace, good brother.
All right. What's on your mind, man? All I'm doing tonight is just hitting the buttons and moderate. That's it. I'm letting y'all do your thing,
Okay, now things I've been seeing lately for the last maybe 2 good weeks has been like this baby booming shit versus millennials. You guys on that?
Oh, please, let's talk about that.
Oh yeah. Let's get on it. This is a hot topic.
Yeah, let me speak on that for a little bit. All right, now look. Now me, I'm a young man. I'm considered to be more of a millennial. But what I see is this, all right? Older guys, the baby boomers don't owe me shit. I've never been that kind of guy to think that you owe me something because you're older than me, because I always view myself as being an old soul type of guy. So, like, even when I come on YouTube and I see a lot of these older gentlemen and they talk like they know so much and they got so much, they got good information, but it doesn't apply to the survival of our people at this point. It's just ego stroking, ego boosting type of information that they're giving you. So everybody can come back and say, hey, man, you gave some good information, but we appreciate the information you give us. But it doesn't apply to you learning how to survive, for you knowing how to get money at this moment. And the thing is, what I see me growing up personally from where I'm from, older guys, they never put themselves in a position to be viewed as an elder, right? You just had a whole bunch of old niggas growing up, old niggas getting old, and they felt they tried to demand respect, but they wasn't fit for respect. And the whole thing about young niggas don't want to hear shit from an older guy, the reason being is because we see how your life ended up, how your life turned out. So what could you possibly tell a young man that can help him? Because at a certain age, we know now what's right and what's wrong. We know how to not get killed. We know what it means, what it takes to not go to jail. So now when you started, like, as a young guy, you start catching your own momentum, catching your own wave. This old niggas, they decided want to come in and want to try to deter what you're doing and take you off your goddamn square out of envy and jealousy. So I'm looking at this shit on YouTube. And I'm like, this is no different than the shit I grew up in. I grew up amongst old head niggas And all they want to do is try to discourage and discredit a young man for being a young man and for living in a time that these niggas was not living in. And we taking advantage of the shit that you can take advantage of. Now, have you noticed young people don't go around trying to disrespect older guys? Everybody would love to have an elder or senior figure that they would love to bring in on certain things, to get their advice, to get their approval, to see what they think about some shit. But who do we have to go to that point? And I think that a lot of people are getting that shit misconstrued of you thinking that we begging millennials to give us something, when it's simply, we just want you niggas to be in an elder position so we can feel proud to know that, hey, man, some of these black guys, they did do good for themselves. And these niggas can give some sage and some wisdom, some sage advice and some wisdom so we can use for our life. And they can also tell us about the mistakes and the pitfalls that they went through so we can avoid the shit. But that's not what we getting. That's not what we having. This is a major war between young niggas and old niggas. You understand what I mean?
Can I address that?
I hear what you're saying. And it really, you know what? It really shouldn't be that. Go ahead and address that, brother. But it really shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I've been teaching in the inner city for 23 years. And I have my fair share of, I guess, 2.5 generations or so. And, you know, I guess I'm going to just address the young black males because that's the kind of struggle I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Is that I'm a Gen Xer, and half the time the faculty at my job, we discuss reaching out to black males, and the consensus that we have is that we have to chase after you just to impart our wisdom to you. You guys are all over the place, and I understand where you don't want to go ahead and beg, and but you want to have some kind of sense of pride, but you got to crawl before you can walk. And that's the situation that I think some of the Gen Xers went through that. Baby boomers went through that when they're growing up. And right now, we are competing with the media. We're competing with the government just to get your attention so we can impart the things that you would need. Sometimes some of the millennials or the young brothers are kind of picky on the wisdom that is being brought to you, when basically you're supposed to chew the meat and spit out the bones. And so that's the part where I don't know who dropped the ball. I can't point any fingers, but since we're in this situation, what I would say is that the millennials in general need to put themselves in a position to where we can reach you. Sometimes we can't even reach you to where you can even find out what we're trying to teach you. Now,
it's not even about that.
Let me finish, brother. I understand that some people try to force things on you and things like that. You already feel that energy that's, you're not really feeling, it's not good for your spirit. But in the meantime, there are people waiting because we can't chase after you. I'm quite sure Bandit Tabara would say that. We're not going to chase after you all over the world just to say, here, let me help you. Okay. There has to be a pathway that you have to allow for us to meet you halfway. So that's something I would say for right now. Until I don't know if anybody else would chime in on that.
It's not even about that. It's not about us chasing. And no, it's not about you chasing us and we running from you guys. The thing is, at a certain age, when we now figure this shit out on our own, you got old niggas. They want to now come and give their wisdom when in fact you could have gave us this wisdom back when we was 12, 13 years old and we really needed your ass. Now it's to the point where I don't want to hear what the fuck you got to say. Where was you 10, 11, 12 years ago in giving your goddamn wisdom because you had it over me? I'm going to give you an example. For me being raised up in the church, me being raised around a lot of older guys, all right, all I saw was everybody just go to work, everybody just do what they do. But nobody was ever trying to pull us youngsters to the side when we was farming. We, my motherfucker would walk down the street, we can get in the fights and shit. Nobody ever said anything about it. And you had wisdom and time over us to where you could whoop our ass at that moment. But like, as I got older, and when I learned how to start making money on my own, I started seeing that my old uncles, these old neighbors from down the street, everybody want to have something to say about us making money now. And I'm just thinking and I'm talking to my cousins and my homeboys in the hood, and I'm looking like, where in the fuck were these niggas 10 years ago when they was stunting and shitting on us, man? When they was trying to be funny, that the fact that we was going to school and these niggas when they got them 20s and 30s, man, and you boys had your shit, you had your shit going on. Where was you niggas then to put us on this game? Like I had kinfolk and people who sold dope, who hustled, and they knew the street game. And you know, these motherfuckers would play games like, all right, we can do this and you niggas can't do that because you niggas 10, 11 years old. But now when we turn 27, 28, 30 years old, now you want to come tell me about how not to go to jail. Like, nigga, I done been to jail already, fool. So I know how not to go to jail. I know how not to get killed. So I don't want to hear what you got to say. So whoever dropped the ball on that, that's fine. But my thing is, you don't owe us shit, though. You know what I mean? I don't hear a lot of millennial niggas going around saying that them old niggas owe us something because we knew you niggas didn't have shit in the first place. We knew it.
Can you give us an example of their criticism?
Criticism, like I say, trying to teach me about, yeah, you know, you do this here, bro. You know, you can get locked up for this shit. You know, you can go to jail for that. You know, that can get you hurt. You know, man, I know this shit, fam. I know that shit. These con artists understand when niggas run a scam on you. Like, nigga, we know when a motherfuckers run a scam on me, man. Like what you talking about? Dog? Like, nigga, I'm not no fucking kid no more. Nigga, don't talk to me like a fucking child. Nigga, you had your chance to speak to me when I was a goddamn child, man. But what I'm saying is the momentum of a young man finding his own path. He's walking his own path. He's creating his own lane, and he's trying to get the fuck out the way. And people always got something to say that happen to be older. That's the part of the issue I have with old niggas, fool. I don't want no old nigga really telling me shit because you had your chance. And why didn't you do it when you had a chance to? That's what we're saying. That part.
Are you seeing them as giving you a voice of caution, or are you saying that they're trying to control you?
It's a control that's disguised as caution. Like the control, you filibustering, you trying to delay the process because we about to leave your ass. And all you doing is saying, you giving us fear tactics, victimhood, victim narratives, always this white man shit, white supremacy, this bullshit. Like, nigga, we don't live in that time. And it's very irresponsible for an older nigga to try to project his white supremacy experience to niggas who was born 30 years after him. Just imagine this. I'm gonna give you this scenario. Just imagine, I say this a few times. Just imagine, like, if we was in grade school and the millennials we consider to be kindergartners and the Gen X's and the actual baby boomers, they are like in the 11th and 12th grade. And this say, for instance, at that time, the football team, you guys suck. You guys couldn't win games. You won probably one game in 2 years and shit. And we still in kindergarten. We don't have a clue about what you niggas are going through. So as we get older and we now in high school, our group, we are actually learning how to win the game to where we damn near going to the state championship. And the first thing you would hear from an older guy is, you niggas don't know how to play real football or real basketball. See, back in my day, what we did was this, and you niggas ain't really had it like how we had it. It's kind of like you want to tell a young man that since you didn't have to go through what I went through, then what you doing at this moment, it's not really, you're not qualified. It's not valid because, nigga, we had to go through a little rougher time than you niggas. And you young niggas got it easy. I hear that a whole lot from older guys. That's the part. Like, why can't you just respect that we are living in a different age? And instead of you trying to discourage these young men, tell these young men and young women, hey, man, y'all can get through certain doors that we couldn't. You niggas got some shit that's golden in your fucking hand that you're using, but you on Instagram and Facebook and goddamn YouTube looking at bullshit. But look at all that fucking information that you niggas got. See, you don't hear that from old niggas. You hear shit like white supremacy, victimhood. I ain't trying to hear that victim shit from you old niggas, man. I promise you. The white man ain't stopping a goddamn thing. Yes, we live in a structure to where you got to follow certain rules, and none of us are going to overthrow the government and make our own rules. So I'm all for the rules and shit. But in the meantime, it's businesses can be created so we can contribute to the actual economy to where we can compete with white supremacy. You got a lot of black men and black women are moving up in this so-called white supremacy structure. If that was the case, black men and women would not be able to move up in shit. You would still be in the fucking hood, living every day, paycheck to paycheck, barely making it. So I don't want to hear that shit. That's what I'm saying, that victim shit. I'm done with that, fool. Go ahead.
Got a question for you.
Hey,
Sorry,
I'd like to chime in if that's okay.
Yeah, Rob, go ahead and say something, brother. And then Art, Rob, say your words, and then we'll go back to Art. And then we want to get other people involved. We want to get Preem, Man Tomorrow. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say their piece. And let's also, as best we can, let's be respectful to each other. Speak your mind. We don't want nobody to say how you want to speak, but let's also be respectful to each other because we all have something to contribute. Go right ahead, Brother Rob.
All right. number one, I wanted to make sure that Art, if you had something, you know, that you wanted to say, I did kind of hop in there. I didn't realize you was about to hop in. If you had something you wanted to say, you can go ahead, bro.
It was just a quick question, and it could be contemplated, but the question was had to my brother that spoke. Um, have you ever heard of the term when the student is ready, the master or teacher will appear? And I think that's it for right now. I think because that's something that you may want to sit there and think about. That's it.
Well,
Go.
so, all right. I grew up kind of the same way Ruth. You know, I'm from the South, I'm from Mississippi, and it was the same thing. And I can pretty much explain the why behind it. Like when I was growing up, I was a straight A student. Nobody liked that. The old hoods in the head tried to break me down and tried to pass or impart on me the victim mentality rather than tell me to keep reaching the higher heights. You know, and everywhere I go, I had to be alone and kind of by myself because I wanted to keep going higher and higher, and most people wanted to kind of stay the course with the victim mentality stuff, man. And what I had to learn is I had to be able to separate from those type of people because I was surrounded by them. And you don't know how bad it is until you're not surrounded by those people. And once you're able to kind of separate and kind of move up in the world, man, because it's really not that hard. It's just a process. But that process can be snuffed out in a heartbeat if you're surrounded by the wrong people. And what those people know and what they see in young guys, like a Rude and stuff like that, like what they see is, well, this guy was probably in the 11th or 12th grade. He was already better than them. And they already knew that.
Yeah.
So what they would try to do is they would try to, let's take this dude down a couple notches by not giving him the game, by watching him make mistakes. And then after he makes mistakes, let's try to teach us something after he made the mistakes. But you could lose 5 or 6 years of growth and development like that. And then when the same people try to come around later on trying to teach you something, and they try to use the victim mentality as a choke point, as the reason why, nah, man, you got to flounder out there another 10, 11 years before you get this very simple and very basic information. But as of right now, here's some of this hot fire victim mentality. And it's white man bullshit. Like, dude, I had to get all the way the fuck about the South before I realized, man, dude, listen, all this stuff that these people was talking about was circumstances and chances that they never took. And so what they wanted is they wanted company to be sitting at the corner store. They didn't want me leaving that place, man. They wanted me right back down there, right along there with them. So what I had to do is I had to separate. And so I was, and I'm a Gen Xer myself. I'm 40. I grew up with people like that. And then I separated, and then I went back recently. You know, I started, you know, getting in, you know, doing things for the community. Well, certain people in the community who are trying and all that. And you see the same old heads there who are my age, trying to destroy these kids' spirits and trying to steer them in the wrong direction and all that kind of stuff. Man, I'm like, damn, man, that's the real white supremacist right there. It's pretty damn black if you ask me. It's pretty damn unaccomplished if you ask me. And what these people do is they always find or snake their way in, and they always try to find a way to destroy these damn kids because they don't want to be at the bottom. So they'll hold whatever power that they have over anybody in order to keep their relevance. But they should just be letting that stuff go and just giving it to the younger. Because here's the thing. It's very unnatural for you to be out there that long, 20, 30, 40 years, acting like you're still a young-ass man. At some point, man, you got to move the hell on, dude. That's what retirement's for. Retirement don't mean that it's over. Retirement means that, no, you've already done that. No, you have to bring it to like a like, emeritus level. You're retired.
Emeritus. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, you retired from that. You can advise on that now. But some people want to stay in the game until they have to roll them off the court in a wheelchair. And that ain't the way life is set up, man. And other cultures understand that. And we don't, because people get this blooming, sometimes 10 to 15, 20 years way after they're supposed to have it. And now they got the point of relevance and they don't want to give it up. And they just have to move along. Because it's somebody else's turn and they just hold on to it. It's sad.
I hear you, man. Look, man, I hear you, brother. And the way that you and the other brother, I think is Redump. Um, my fault, I couldn't see the whole name. Uh, the way that y'all are describing it almost takes validity from the struggle that our people have had here in this country. We cannot ever take our eye off of the fact. This is a fact. These are facts. These are truths that we certainly shouldn't overlook. There has been a protracted struggle for our people since we've been here, and we certainly cannot take our eye off of that just because we've made a few um, uh, moves here in the greater society. I agree. The white man is not stopping anything. It is our mindset. We have to develop a mindset where it's all encompassing. You know, I, I'm not sure who you getting your information from, Redemp, in terms of them being elders. Me myself, I can only speak for myself here. I try to model the behavior that I expect for my students to have. I work in education. I try to model the behavior that I expect my students to have. I speak to them. I call them Mr. Williams, Mr. Waters, Mr. Wyatt. This is the way that I refer to them, to let them know that it's a manner of respect that we have to have when we speak it to one another. I would say that the crack era lowered our morals and values toward one another. I qualify that statement by saying this, right? If you 15 years old, who are you selling crack to? You're not selling it to 12-year-olds. You're selling it to grown people. And so by you selling this product that they literally physically need to have, they're going to be back at your door tomorrow. And then that money, right? See, this is where the rubber meets the road. In American society, everyone is socially engineered and programmed to respect money. Money equals power in this society. And so because the crack man, the crack dealer, had more money than hardworking folks, who do you think we look to for power? And so that dichotomy, right, is the reason why our morals and values are lowered towards one another. And that's why it's very difficult to look at an elder who might have some wisdom, but see that he might have had a substance abuse problem back in his day when it was cool to smoke crack at the house party. You see what I mean? But we looking at him through 2018 eyes, not 1984 eyes, at the height of the crack era. Do you see what I mean? So perspective plays a huge role in this discussion. That's what I would say. And I would say that maybe we should barter the way that we judge one another. And I end off by saying this. I wholeheartedly believe that we look at ourselves through a nanoscope and don't even look at an open enemy. We don't even look at what he doing. Do you see? We against each other, and we have a moral obligation to the people that are younger than us to create that society that we want to operate in. So I would say that we should really take the onus off of focusing so hard on these character flaws we might have and take a look at our open enemy, the one that's creating legislation that got 98% of my brothers locked up in these prisons here in Illinois. You know what I mean? Conviction rate 96%. You see? So that's not victimhood. Those are facts. Those are statistics, that we have to take a look at and can never take our eye off of the huge elephant in the room.
Yeah, these problems still exist, even though we've had some progress here and there. These issues still exist. They have not gone away, and they do impact us. Let me give a little bit of respect to my brother AM1 out of Oakland. Thank you, brother, for the super chat.
So does he want to come on?
And welcome. My man's he's straight out of Oakland. Well, we got a full I tried to get him on. I sent him a link. We got a full pound tonight of 10 people. So I guess anytime anyone feels like, hey, it's time for them to go to Biddy Buy, I can get the brother in. So it's a great discussion so far.
Well, I can say the last few things. I guess I'll be the first one to leave because I'm not really a YouTuber, but I want to be able to say something and then take off. But okay. This is for brother Rude MP. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Well, I want to be able to focus on the positive qualities that I heard in your delivery. And the one thing I was really impressed about is your instinct. You know the difference between someone BSing you and someone trying to help you, from what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, true that.
So I think the main thing that you may want to do, that's why I asked the question, if you understood the terms of when the student is ready, the master will appear. So basically that kind of goes to say, like, if you're humble, if you feel you're humble within yourself to learn something that you haven't learned before, then basically someone would appear to give it to you. But if you feel like you know everything there is to know before someone gives it to you, whether if you're 10 years old, 15, 20, then basically you're going to have a hard time trying to teach yourself what you should learn from someone else. So that's the only thing I can say, because I don't know your walks of life. But from what I'm hearing is that people are trying to keep you from being a man. And that's something that we've been really messed up in our society. So yes, society keeps the black man from his manhood pathway, but sometimes we do that to our young as well by diminishing your importance. So basically, I think if someone is giving you something negative to where you feel like you're not growing, your instincts, which you are blessed with, should tell you to move somewhere else, because you're not growing with that. And it probably brings more negative energy out of you to do things that get you in trouble in spite of what you're hearing. So that's probably the best thing I can tell you for right now off the cuff. But I wish you the best, my brother. And,
I appreciate it. But look, it's nothing. Everything is good now. Like no one is stopping me from growing. Maybe for the last, let's say 7-8 good years of me just knowing what I'm supposed to be doing. My thing is, as I see, like I said, this so-called war on YouTube with the millennials and the baby boomers, it just brings me back to when I was a young man. Right? Like I said, I had my father in my life until he died when I was 16. I used to stay with him. And I guess I'm looking at the other niggas around the goddamn hood who view young men as a threat, and they try to stifle that shit. And I'm seeing that shit on YouTube. Like I said, other than that, my information is what it is, man. Like I'm gaining information, I'm gaining knowledge. No one is stopping me. The thing is, this shit start looking real familiar. It reminds me of when I was a young man. The thing is, if you're an older guy, whether it's a student is ready or not, whether the master is there or not, I'm saying don't hinder no young person. Don't project what you had to go through on somebody who's 20 and 30 years younger than you.
I got so something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, my brother, but I got something very handy for you, because if you got those people that's trying to to force their way in them, put their asses to work. If they really want to give you some game, put them to work. You know, you got some advice. Okay, let me see it. Put them to
Okay.
work.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you don't. I mean,
Proof of game. You got to show proof of game.
thank you. Exactly. You know, so you might. I mean, there might be some stuff that you not may not be feeling, but if they got something, give it to me. I want, you know. But if you can't use it, put it. You know, put it to some other use or whatever. But that's the best thing I can tell you, brother. I'm a bail out and let some other people come in. So you
All
take
right.
All
care,
right.
family. All
You
right,
should.
take care, everybody.
AM1, I'm looking to send you a link, brother. So let me get him in here. So come on in. So, whoo, anybody, Sister Classy Ruby, I mean, you heard a lot so far. Reg has heard a lot. Anybody wants to render their thoughts on what they've heard so far?
Actually,
Yes, I'll go after.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, if you wouldn't mind.
Go right ahead.
You know, I was saying in the chat, you know, the millennials, especially the older ones, are in a really original position that no other generation has ever been in before, which is that even if our community wasn't so fractured and, you know, cultural transmission of information was passed down the way it should be, and, you know, the elder generations weren't threatened by the younger ones and so on and so forth, they're in the position where for the first time kind of ever, they were in the position of almost raising themselves, because the generation that, you know, gave birth to them was not born and raised into this new information technological era. So all of their information, and for me as like a Zennial, like I was born right on the cusp between being a Generation Xer and being a millennial. And at the end of the day, my mother just barely made the cutoff for being a boomer. So, you know, when you look at the age difference between us, I mean, we're only 18 years apart, but the life that she was teaching me and what she was transmitting to me, and what I was learning as far as, you know, just even how to get a job. You know, what you do, you put yourself together, you print your resumes, you make sure the paper is a certain weight and so on and so forth. You go and you present yourself at every place in person looking a certain way, and now it's completely irrelevant. It's trash, right? Because you can't just show up somewhere. They're going to be like, oh, here's the website you go to and whatever. How are your parents going to tell you how to make your resume stand out on a website where, you know, maybe 30,000 resumes were submitted? They don't know. You know, the elder generations in a lot of ways can't help the younger generations, and they can't, the information they're going to pass down, it's a crapshoot whether or not it's going to work or not. So, you know, it's kind of a difficult position, I think, because on a lot of ways, I think the millennials kind of know that they had to figure out so much on their own. And, you know, a lot of the stuff, you know, the elder generations told them wasn't necessarily useful when it came to a lot of practical things about how to make it to where they are, like, especially as adults. And, you know, the older generations are feeling like, you know, rebuffed, rejected. You know, they want to pass down wisdom and so on and so forth. But at the same time, you know, they're feeling kind of useless. And, you know, it's like evolutionarily, we were built to function a certain way, where the elder generations, first they show you, as Rude said, it's a problem that they're not showing you very young in your youth and as you're coming up. They shouldn't start trying to show you when you're 25. That's way too late now. You've already developed. But, you know, it's supposed to be that first they show you, then they walk you through it, then they watch you as you do it, and then they let you fly. And, you know, I mean, our community is so fractured, that's already not happening. Now people are turning around at 45 and going, hey, well, you know, I'm ready to be a parent now. Hey, I'm ready to be some type of guardian now. Hey, I'm ready to pass down my experiences to you because I'm done focusing on me now. I'm done, you know, breaking my own life and learning my own lessons now. So, hey, I'm ready to go. And it's already too late. And even if it wasn't, what practical knowledge do they have, you know, in the 21st century, as far as, you know, how these millennials can get further ahead than they are? As it is, a lot of millennials are further ahead than, you know, the older generations are online, and that's the only thing that really counts these days.
I hear you. I hear you. Ruby, you make great points. Let me see. Reg, I want to hear from Reg. I got to hear from Preem, Lions Den. I want to hear. C as well. That's on the panel. And AM1, got to hear from you, brother. So let me go over to Reg, because I know Reg was one of the first people that came on. Reg, you've heard a lot, brother. You've been sitting back silent. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, it's been a disconnect with the younger generation, you know, with the older generation. This was probably already designed by them people, them boys, you know. This is how you break you can say break a community, or break a people, a race of people. You know, if you separate the young from the old, or the men from the women and stuff. This is just an attack. You know, the basis of a community is you have to pass down your knowledge to the younger ones. Whatever you know as an older man, it has to be passed down. That's the only way a community can grow. You cannot solve nothing else. You can't even fight the enemies that's fighting you unless you pass down your knowledge or culture to the younger ones. And this is not happening. This stopped. Virtually it stopped when basically in maybe the 80s, I could say like that. Us Generation X started seeing this, and we was fighting against the baby boomers basically, you know, by the most part, most of the time. And now the millennials are fighting against the baby boomers, even more so. They fighting against us. They don't want to hear nothing no more. They say, well, we'll do it ourselves. So this is where it has come to. So when I see Rude say what he said, you know, I understand him, because I was somewhat like him too. I had to learn stuff on my own. Even though I had a dad there, he still didn't teach me anything. I didn't know I had to go outside, you know, from the brothers in the streets and stuff, whatever, other men that was doing good and stuff. And so, because he was always running around, fucking all kind of women and stuff, and this and that. I mean, he was a hard worker, but that's what it was, you know. But he did teach me something, you know. He teach me that, you know, man got to have common sense. That's about it. If I'm looking at him, looking at his life, you know, he kept a job for 40 years, same job for 40 years and stuff, and retired and had money. So I could learn from that. You dig what I'm saying? You know, and he always knew his limitations. And that's one thing that a man has to have. You know, you heard that in the, you know, Clint Eastwood movie. That's true. You know, but like I said, you know, Rude M, and brother's full of talent. You know, he just expressing what the younger ones is feeling out there. You know, and you have to listen to him, because, you know, you say, hey, look, if you can't pass down some serious knowledge that's gonna help me survive in the future, then what use are you? And you supposed to have been dead that. He's right. When you was a kid, I always speak to young kids out there. If they want to say something to me, hey man, don't do this, do that. I always do that, whether they listen or not. And you might, matter of fact, you'd be surprised. Some of them will listen to you if you get to know them. I used to talk to a lot of people when I was in the swap league, do my thing and stuff. Kids come to me, I tell them this, and tell young dudes they want to know how I got into business, and this, that I'll break it down to them. And some of them are doing real good now out there. And I made it a habit to speak to young brothers when I was out there. Mm-hmm. You dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you have to pass that. I don't care how old you are. You have to pass. You got to get out of that jealousy thing, like, oh, they can't do it like me and stuff. Because, you know, we got some of these leaders out here, man, they on some bullshit. They don't want to pass it down. They on a power. You dig what I'm saying?
I dig it.
That's all.
Let me go. Okay, let me go ahead and give some respect to the Prophet of Thought series. I was just on that brother's show tonight. We were talking about an issue which we might want to talk about here tonight. It was an issue around whether black males are the best at being fathers, parenting of our kids, our parental rights to our children. Now, the prophet of thought tonight read some statistics tonight that showed that the best fathers in this country, we call America, best fathers overall, statistically, are Black males. When we are able to be in the lives of our children and when we are actively responsible in our children's life. So there's a lot of myths going around that Black men are not good fathers, that Black men are not actively involved in their children's life. Well, there are Black men that are involved actively in their children's life. You're listening to one speak right now. It was a great show. I want to give him some love for super chatting me as well. Okay, everybody. Let's see. Reg, thank you for your thoughts. Let me go over to Preem. You've been quiet, brother. You've been sitting back in the cuts. What are your thoughts? Unmute yourself, Preem. Okay. As O'Shea would say, the white man's got you, Preem. Let's see. Let me see. Lion's Den.
I'm here, Info.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? You've been listening to the program.
I think the problem is that we, as the older generation, you know, basically we're supposed to be leaders, and the younger generation is basically, you know, trying to look up to us. And some of us, not all of us, but some of us have failed them. And I think this is why the generation now are what they are, because they felt that, you know, like, for example, like a younger brother that was speaking earlier, that, you know, don't tell us anything because what happened to y'all when y'all needed us and you wasn't around. And that's the problem right there. I think that what we're seeing is that the younger generation has basically saying that, in other words, to the older generation, the baby boomers, that we don't need you. We got this. And then so that's the problem. And we, as ourselves, half of ourselves as the older generation, has failed the youth, has failed the younger generation. So we as a people have to understand that at the end of the day, we need each other. We definitely need each other, especially now in this environment. I think that we as a society, especially the older and the younger generation, you know, put the differences aside and come together on this, because at the end of the day, we're family, whether y'all believe that or not. So I think that's what's going on, Info, because the thing is that really we have, again, like I said, a generation is basically is looking up to us, and obviously some of the older generation really, you know, failed the youth and everything. But
let me just say something. See, we're talking tonight as if this is just something unique to millennials. This shit has been going on for generation to generation. I'm a Gen Xer. We came up the hard side of the damn mountain. We had baby boomers hating on us. Okay, they called my generation the slacker generation, that we weren't gonna amount to nothing. Guess what? My generation is the generation that brought y'all computers. Okay, I remember the Apple computer back in the day, the personal computers. My generation, they called the slackers. We were the generation that you revolutionized this computer shit that y'all playing around with today. Okay, we were the ones that they said weren't gonna amount to anything. We were the next generation to be rebellious after the 60s and 70s generation. We were the generation in the 80s that said we didn't want to be like our fathers and mothers and work a corporate 9-to-5 job. We wanted to live a different lifestyle. We were the ones that said we didn't want to become like our parents. And the reality is every generation that goes from being young to older always critiques the younger generation. It has happened from time immemorial. We have become what we did not want to become, what we said our parents were, which is what? We've gotten older, we've gained a little bit of wisdom, but we also have gotten judgmental of the other generations. Just like when you look at sports, and you have the old timers in the NBA that'll say, oh, these guys today ain't as good as me. I could have hit 50 points on these guys, 60 points a game. You hear Wilt Chamberlain say that about Magic Johnson and Jordan's generation. Now you got, you know, so every older generation is going to have some kind of criticism, critique The problem is, what do we leave this generation behind? Because the baby boomers, in a lot of ways, not to point fingers, but I'm just being honest from my experience, the baby boomers, in a lot of ways, they sort of failed even my generation because they did not leave us any infrastructure for us to leave millennials anything. So, and millennials come from our loins. We gave birth to you. And let's just be honest, whatever flaws we see in millennials, we better look at ourselves, Gen Xers, because we might be making the same mistakes as the baby boomers who were whooping our asses because we came up the hard side of the mountain. There was no participation trophies when I was a young man. Okay, they kicked in our ass, but then at the same time, what did they leave us? So I understand every generation is going to look at the other generation cross-eyed, but we need each other. We need each other because when I get old, yes, sir, Ru, what are you saying?
I didn't mean to cut you off. No, see, when you say what you're saying right there, like when people have harsh criticism and you say it in the form of being sarcastic, understand that what a young person is thinking is you coming at me like I'm a hoe ass nigga for whatever reason. And I'm gonna give you an example on what we had to do growing up. Cause like I had to fight, I had to really swing on a few of my older cousins, at least two of them. One of them, 50-something years old, real cool, but you know what I'm saying, but he got some hoe ass nigga in him. And he's like I said, we out there in Houston, so he's a part of rapper like me. And he's one of them niggas that everybody in the family, would go to. He had all the money and shit. But he played with us sometimes when it was like too much. And one day he punched my cousin in his jaw, man. And my cousin told me about it. He had to fucking fight the dude. And then one of my older cousins, who's like maybe, let's say 10 years older than me, after I had took this nigga to go get some money, the nigga came back and he still told me the same thing that he been telling me about me not being off the porch, that the little shit that we did wasn't shit. And I just punched that nigga in his fucking mouth, man. And I just started really beating his ass until people pulled me off of him. And I'm feeling bad afterwards because I'm realizing that a young nigga don't really want to have to just go to work like this on an old guy because out of respect that you are older than me. For me to swing at you knowing that you 10, 15 years older than me, I don't feel good for that. But we had to do that. Me and my cousin, who I viewed as my brother, we had to do that with these old niggas in our family. Swing off on these niggas, hit them all in their goddamn mouth, hit them in their fucking ribs, and really treat them like as if they was our age. All because the shit you saying to us, even though I can look past it, but I'm tired of you saying this shit when you ain't did nothing to try to show me a different way. All you doing is want to criticize in the worst way on how I went by, how I'm going by doing it now. You see what I'm saying?
Ru,
Go ahead.
Let me just say this to you, Ru. I'm not really trying to criticize millennials. I'm basically, if you hear what I'm saying, brother, I'm basically saying that some of us Generation Xers, we were picked on by baby boomers. So what I just said is the things that we're doing to you guys is the same shit that was done to us when we were young and the old heads were criticizing us. And what we have done is become the very thing that we said we did not want to become. My generation was a generation that said we didn't want to be like our fathers and mothers in terms of the criticism, right? Yeah. So I'm not setting up here spitting on you guys. I'm simply saying that we are making the same mistakes as those that were our elders too, Rude. We're making the same mistakes, brother. That's what I'm saying, brother. So don't get it wrong what I'm saying. I'm not saying
I'm not getting wrong with what you're saying. I'm not getting wrong with what you're saying per se. I'm saying the guys of your generation coming at guys in my generation, you need to understand that if you're gonna play those games and saying shit like, well, you niggas ain't had it like how we had it, or you ain't doing the way we did it, you putting yourself in a position for a nigga to swing off on your ass. That's what I'm letting you know. So, when I deal with these young guys I deal with, when I play basketball with these young men, they 16, 17 years old, I don't play with these young men on some hoe ass nigga shit. Like I don't come at you saying, yeah, little hoe ass nigga, you still living home with your goddamn mama, you little punk ass nigga, you can't get no real money, you ain't driving no real car. See, I don't play with you like that if I'm not gonna show you how to make some real money or how to get a car. Because I expect for you to eventually get fed up with me being older and really trying to tease you and play with you for no fucking reasons. I expect for you to swing off me eventually. And like I said, information, man, I don't feel good having to punch my older cousins like that. It's not a good feeling. But you playing too goddamn much and you ain't got no fucking solution for a young nigga. Nigga ain't trying to hear your talking that bullshit. That's not really valued. It's not valued right now. It's not valid. Like, I'm not, well, why are you talking this shit to me? And I'm in my mid-20s, my nigga. I'm in my late 20s. Why in the fuck are you speaking to me as a grown-ass man the way that you're doing? I'm not 12, 13 years old. I'm just saying, though, we now, I'm 32 years old now. And you say you 48 information, man. If we gonna talk and discuss, my nigga, we gonna sit and talk and discuss real issues. But I'm not gonna sit here and let you or Reg the Bad Guy or anybody just talk shit like that, man. I'm supposed to sit there and take it? For what?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. We're not gonna talk shit. But let's just say this, because I'm gonna move on to someone else to speak. This was gonna happen to you, Rue. You're 32 years old. One day you're gonna be an older brother, an older man, a distinguished brother, and you're gonna have younger cats. The things that you're saying to us today, you want to impart the same wisdom, not talking at them, but talking to them in brotherhood, to give them your wisdom and things that they can learn. And I'm going to bet you, in your experience, Rue, you are going to experience some of the younger guys, some that are going to listen to you, and some that are going to be knuckleheads. And you're going to say, there goes a young knucklehead.
Exactly.
And what you see, this is how it works. How you think at 20 is not how you think at 30. How you think at 30 is not how you think at 40 and 50 and so on. So, Rue, you're going to get some of these knuckleheads that you're going to just shake your head at and say, this boy just don't get it. And some that will take your wisdom and run with it. So, brother,
even if that's the case, information, man, I'm not going to play with these young niggas like that. You know what I'm saying?
No. You don't play with any, look, I don't care how old anybody is. You don't play with anybody in a disrespectful manner. You give everybody. That shows that you've been given proper home training. But let me go over. I gotta get C in here. I gotta get AM1. C, you got any words, brother?
From what I've been listening, whenever Rue Dim talks about this issue, he talks about his personal family relations. And what I keep hearing is it's very unfortunate with our generation, especially for when it comes for Black people, because we have to deal with so much pointless hood shit all the time growing up. Like, for what Rue Dip said, listen to what he said, it sounds like really, it's very, very unfortunate. It sounds like a lot of pointless, dumb nigga shit. Like, listening to this, I'm fortunate to not have to dealt with all the things that he's talking about. Now, I didn't have like a silver spoon, or I didn't have all the proper cards in the deck myself, but at certain levels, I interacted, and the universe brought certain people into my life where I didn't have to deal with like dudes hanging outside messing with kids because they're trying to go to school, or not to the level that he's saying, or cousins that are just about street shit and trying to drag you down. Like, my whole thing growing up was just having to, go to school, not get into a fight when you beat somebody in basketball, go to the computer room and learn about computers and things like that. See, I've never really had a bunch of older men try to drag me down. So I've always had older men that wanted to impart knowledge upon me. Like, my mentors, growing up, my mentors always taught me about computers and technology. Yeah, of course, they were older, so they kind of clowned me a little bit. They called me all types of names and stuff like that. But that's kind of what men do with younger men. You kind of shit talk the younger men, toughen them up a little bit, And, as I got older, I got over that stuff. But I've never personally had to deal with the level what a lot of guys who are millennials are saying, where they have older men who actually try to take them down and tear them down and bring them down to their level. And, to my comment to that is that you have to, at a point, acknowledge that some people, they're just fucked. And you have to, just rise above that to anyone that's listening. Because I dealt with people my age trying to hold me down and keep me down and tear me down. And, I just rose above that, because you just have to have enough confidence in yourself and where you're going, that you're going to be where you need to be, and not worry about whether or not 10 years down the line you can laugh in their face about it. You just have to move on with what you're doing and your passions in your life.
The thing what I'm saying, see over is this, right? I agree with you saying, man. That is some nigga shit. That's what a lot of us who was raised up in this nigga shit for real, for real. The thing is, older people have to understand that when you do shit like that, for the fact that somebody try to give you a little respect, man, that you putting yourself in a position to be hurt. That's what I'm saying. Like if you know, it's not a joke. Like it's not a joke. If you steering some younger people in the wrong direction based on your fear, you projecting your insecurities on younger people who have nothing to do with your class and your group. Understand that these young people can come back to you later on and probably kill your ass, man. Probably hurt you. I don't want you to take that lightly. That's what I'm saying to the older generation. Don't take it lightly. If you ain't got shit to say to somebody younger than you, get the fuck out that man way.
I think that goes back. That go ahead. Sorry.
No. What I'm saying. What I'm saying. Go ahead.
I want to give. Let's get AM1 in. He's been waiting patiently, and Preem, man, if you're there. I want to get to Preem, and I want to get back to Man of Tomorrow as well. AM1, speak your wisdom, brother. Speak your piece.
All right, so this is an interesting thing. Can you guys hear me okay, first off?
Yeah, we can see you, brother, and we can hear you too.
Okay, dope. No, this is interesting because I just turned 40 myself, and I've always had more of a youthful sort of spirit. I don't have any children myself. I do a lot of things that are community-oriented, cultural type stuff, music-related events, parties. So I'll say that to say, to a certain degree, I operate in a way that's can draw in youth to, different age groups and whatnot. So me just turning 40 and being in the sphere I'm in, operating with different demographic groups, and especially now, ramping up my business, working on my shop, bringing in even more younger folks that work with me that I'm basically hiring. So it's a dynamic kind of situation. Folks calling me the OG now. I'm having discussions with younger folks, really trying to level them up because folks are saying, well, the OGs ain't kicking down game. I can absolutely promise you, now this is through my lens, I've encountered just within the past few months alone, past few years as well, but more concentrated in the last few months. Folks are really saying, well, are the OGs kicking down game, trying to put you in a good position? But then again, when you talk to a lot of younger folks, they really want to make excuses as to why they should just be able to stay rocking how they're rocking. And then on the crazy end of the spectrum, to the point where they want to get violent about it and get real hyper emotional about it, regardless of whatever logic you're breaking down, that pertains to their exact predicament, their exact struggle. And when you try to game them up on really what they should do to avoid these things by way of my experience and current leveling up my damn self, they don't want to hear that shit. So this is a very interesting thing to hear that, even what the brother was just saying now, the idea that if you try to say certain things, you should be prepared to fight or get killed. I'm like, if that's the state of Black America, it's a fucking wrap, because this hyper emotional shit, getting in your feelings about somebody trying to level you up. I understand if somebody's trying to tear you down, but it's a very interesting sort of fine line between somebody saying some real shit to you that you just might not want to hear versus them trying to, fuck with you. There still could even be truth in it if they're trying to fuck with you. I would say, why get in your feelings versus let me really peep what this person is saying. Let's use more logic than emotion. That's going to be not even constructive. You might be missing some real gems. I don't know, man. That's a fucked up game. I'm seeing a lot of more youth on that hyper emo shit to where they're like, nah, I don't want to hear what you're saying. You an old nigga, you an old head. Fuck that shit. Fuck what you're trying to do. You a square. I'm trying to be out here in the streets. I'm trying to be cool, be lit, be hip, or keep it hood, keep it thug. You don't understand. I'm like, no, I understand, my dude. Oakland, California, grimy shit. I've seen it, but I've seen a lot of better shit for all intents and purposes. By better, I mean more access to resources. I'm about that life for real, and trying to tell people how to level up and do the same thing. Niggas don't want to hear it though, because it ain't fun, it ain't glamorous, it ain't white mainstream media style, it ain't hood. I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real hood. I'm a real nigga. I'm like, but you a real broke ass nigga, and you keeping it real broke and dusty for the whole collective. What are we doing here? And niggas want to get mad and get on your head about it. What are we to do? What are we to do?
What you saying make a lot of sense, man. But what I'm looking at it from this perspective, right? It's not hyper emotional because a motherfucker is just trying to give you some real knowledge and spit game to you. What it is at this point, if you're going to be in somebody's face, if you're going to try to school somebody, you need to be a benefit for that person at that moment. Like, for instance, though, if I teach a young 16, 17-year-old boy or try to tell him anything, I need to show him how to make $100 the same goddamn day. I shouldn't be in your face trying to speak to you about, yeah, man, you little niggas wearing Jordans all day, put on some dress shoes. Man, fuck all that going through the actual step. We dealing with a state of emergency, man. It's an urgent situation we in. If you're going to teach a young man something, he needs to be knowing how to get his own food or get his own goddamn money. My humble opinion, you can say it's the white man's money, but I believe every man's supposed to be in possession of it. Every man in this goddamn world supposed to be in possession of the currency of your country, enough of it. So you can pick and choose what you do with your currency. So I don't want to hear about no, that's the white man shit. You niggas fighting for the white man's money. No, we live in this country. We need to get the white man's money in our possession. You understand me? If you're going to be in a young man's face, then the young man need to know how to make $100 when he leaves your presence. That's what I'm looking at. Other than that, get the fuck out these young people's face talking your shit.
But wait, let me run that back a little bit though, because even if somebody says something to you that can't be put into effect right that instant, doesn't make it any less true if it's true.
No. I agree with that. I agree with that. But what I'm saying, that's like the basic shit of life. Like, really tell you, I'm gonna tell you the truth though. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's going to be. Everybody just need to know how to not get killed, how to not get killed, and how not to get themselves put in a prison. If you can just teach somebody those two basic things when it comes to the treacherous world we living in, what else can you really teach somebody that's informational and that's information at that point that he don't already know? Everybody know how to not to get killed and how not to go to jail. Oh, somebody echoing.
Yeah, that's you info. That's you info.
I got to turn down. Keep this in line.
You talking about real bad information. Information, man. You talking about real bad.
Yeah, you're
white supremacy coming for you, man.
Okay. Let me. This is what I want. You hear me better now? It's probably.
Damn, it's still kind of bad.
It's real choppy.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to say something, but nobody can hear me. Is this a little bit better?
Not really. It's pretty bad
still.
still.
It's not.
Okay. Wait. Everybody go
It's only his mic.
I'm muted. Is it me?
Yeah, it's info, Mike. It's info. It's you.
Yeah, that's info all day.
Okay, go ahead and talk.
I think it might be the internet connection or something. It's really rough.
Yeah, I'm having problems. I'm not going on the surface. Really good.
I'm not even sure if he can hear us.
I can hear you. You guys just can't hear me.
Yeah, you can hear us, and you sound like this weird, echoey, garbled
Yeah,
thing.
you just echoing.
Yeah, it's kind of like you got the echo thing on overdrive or something. That's what is happening.
You turn to the Joker, man.
Yeah.
That's Megatron.
Hey, shout out to y'all on the panel, man. I'm sorry I missed a lot of this discussion. Powerful panel.
What's going on? Gap Talk, how you doing? How you doing?
Peace.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. What's up, Rube?
What's happening? How you doing?
Yes.
What's good, Gap Talk?
Indeed. What's up, Lion Dan?
How you been?
Good, bro. Good, bro. My DMB fam. What's happening?
Nah, pretty much. I'm gonna wrap this shit up real fast, man. Pretty much.
Man, I'm sorry I missed it, man.
No, pretty much what I was saying, the AM1, it's like the information you giving me, man, I'm not gonna discredit you. Damn, man, folks, you gotta hit that. I hit the mute, like,
Info, you gotta
there you go. What I'm saying, the AM1 is, man, I'm not telling you, I'm not gonna tell no young guy, don't ever accept gems from an older head who know more than you. My thing is, at this day and time, man, my thing is this: if I'm gonna present myself to any man with anything, I need to be able to show that man how to get something at that moment. I don't need to be wasting your time trying to tell you all this and that, and then leave me empty-handed and shit, because you know the rights and wrongs of the world, especially when you hit your 30s, man. You know exactly what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Now, there's some things you just want to know what can benefit you right now. In my opinion, like I said earlier, every man's supposed to have money in his bank account. You're supposed to be in the possession of money. No matter how you get it, even though I'm not advocating nobody doing illegal shit, but bro, whatever you do to get your bread, you as a man supposed to be associated with your goddamn bread, and nobody's supposed to be trying to separate you from your goddamn money. That's the red flags, and that's what I would hear from any guy who can teach me how not to get separated from my goddamn money the way I would teach a young man about not getting certain women pregnant, by not going to jail and shit, not being on child support, shit like that. But bro, get your money first. And first, I'm gonna teach you how to make your money to where you ain't got to ask your mama for money, you ain't got to ask your daddy for shit. You can make your own money, whether it's cutting yards, barbecuing, cutting hair. I should be able to show you something that can benefit your ass right now. Other than that, your info, save your goddamn info, man. If you can't make me no bread at this moment, that's how I look at it.
Rude, let me holler at that, if I may, you guys.
Okay.
I got to peel out in a second, but let me drop this little story on you guys. This is real interesting. So I have my multimedia brand, all street looks, all heart, all hustle. Got the shop space here in downtown Oakland. As I was setting up the shop space, a lot of the young brothers around the way were coming and tapping in with me, trying to soak up game because they know I do media. Obviously, I got the clothing line. I got all these different things that I'm trying to make happen. And I need to build more of a team to do so. I'll quickly realize folks my age, again, I just hit 40, don't have the time and the bandwidth because they all did the family black love thing, which if you guys watch my lead off with O'Shea, I illustrated to you how that's setting us back for the most part, because if we don't have resources, then if we don't have resources and we're struggling, if we're procreating, we're breeding more struggle. There's no way around that. So I say that to say, I'm trying to tap in with younger folks who in theory have, don't have children, have more bandwidth, who are moldable folks so I can game up. They're more interested in latching on to thuggery, hood ideas, and or being raised by white-owned mainstream media to where they want to be on the ratchet shit. They want to be on the thought shit. They like that vibe more than a square-ass, light-skinned dude like myself that's really trying to level up and put people in positions of power. So I'll say that to say, I was giving them information that doesn't necessarily put money in their pockets straight away, but that will give them longevity potential for wealth. Like, hey, tighten up your game, how you dress, tighten up your hair, understand that there's a world out here that conducts business in a certain way. Whether it's right or wrong, certain looks, certain ways you carry yourself ain't gonna fly in certain arenas where the money is, where the wealth is. So if you want to get that money and that wealth, you better fucking adapt and figure it out. Well, that goes against my culture, some of their arguments. Having a grill and tattoos and having wild locks and all this shit is so culturally relevant and important that you're not willing to make some concessions to actually get money and resources and make yourself a resource to your people. That's a bad look.
But in the meantime, N1, you see what you just said, you have to offer, you got a brand, you got your clothing line, you got your caps and all that. If you want them young men to sell your shit for you, and get some money off that, man, they can get that shit done for you at this moment. So I'm saying you got something to offer for your information. You're not just talking shit, running your goddamn mouth. You got something concrete. That's what I mean.
Well, and it's true. But believe it or not, even despite what you just illustrated, and even more that I have going on aside from my own brand, other client work that I do for my clients that I could bring them in on some of my contracts, I'm letting them know this is one thing. There's a whole bigger pot that I really rock with. I want to bring you guys in on that. They don't want to see that. They don't want to go to the colleges and the organizations and the big thing where the big money is, because they want to look like little hood street thug boys and ratchet little girls out here. They don't want to adapt to a situation where the money and the resources really are. They want to keep it hood and keep it real and sidestep what a brother like me is saying. So this is me, the OG 40, trying to kick down gang. They're all in their feelings about being accepted by dusty ass, broke ass motherfuckers so hard that they want that versus the game I'm trying to kick down. Meanwhile, skyscrapers, luxury apartments is going up, gentrification is happening, and they jumping up and down crying about that. White man's on my neck, but you too busy trying to keep it hood and keep it ratchet. I'm like, what the fuck we gonna do with that? We got to figure that out.
I agree with you. I agree. That's good shit.
That was fair.
Hey, I respect the whole panel and the chat. I'm gonna peel out and just listen in because I'm working on this video edit. I gotta get this thing turned in because I'm late as fuck. Client's mad, but respect to everybody on the chat. Just want to tap in. Peace to information man with your toe up bite tonight.
Yeah.
Peace information man. I am a robot with information.
You might, hey, info. You might want to like just tell us when you gave up in the chat or something, so that we'll know when you trying to roll out. I'm sorry I missed so much of the the panel discussion, man. I really look like y'all was really going in about some different things up here. I'm gonna definitely back up. But I'm gonna silence myself. I'm sure somebody got something else to contribute. I know how Rude get on the panel. I know how you do, bruh.
Now we here. Now we here and talking about some good shit, man. Really, what we talking about is trying to putting people on for not, not wasting their time in their goddamn way. You putting them on if you got something to offer. You know what I mean? You ain't procrastinating. You ain't filibustering. It's no time for that shit. So anybody, whether you older guy, younger guy, if you got something to offer somebody that can make them some bread, that can make them some food, get them some food, man, or whatever it is that they can benefit off of, that's what we talking about. None of that old, let me get his long-term wisdom shit. Right now, my nigga, this person got to eat, man. What do you have to offer this man right now? You understand me?
Yeah,
No
I
victim,
do.
nobody being victims. And I'm not telling nobody to sell no goddamn dope. I'm telling you, nigga, however you can eat, nigga, you eat. Do what you have to do. And nobody should be in your face if they can't provide something for you. Get them people out your goddamn face. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, like I and I'm sure you got some pushback on that, but I definitely survival is going to be the order of the day, point blank and period. If brothers are able to make a connection with younger people, and it's not even always young people, but people that learn this came up on the street side of the mountain and um didn't come up out of there yet, and so they in survival mode, and it's going to be sometimes it's a lot more difficult to reach our brothers and sisters, and they're going to choose to stay asleep because that's the only way that they're eating. Now we might not approve of it, and it may come a point in this life where we're going to clash with our brothers and sisters of the street life that don't want to wake up uh when I guess a more civilized order tries to take its place. So there may be some conflict, but in the meantime, I think we can seek ways to learn from the people that's actually in the street, and it's a continuous battle, man, on trying to figure out how to bridge the gap. It's continuous. America, one of the richest countries in the world, has not bridged that gap, mostly because I don't think they really want to. So if we really want to, it's going to be a continuous struggle to try and figure out ways to change, try to change the mentality. But like Rude saying, man, you're not going to stop nobody from eating and shit. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
What can
Everybody
we
done
learn
got
from
quiet.
what can we learn from people in the street?
Let me say this. You can learn, and before I try to answer the question, um are you do you come from a background like that, like from the not
Define
necessarily
define
hood, but
define the define. Okay, define what you're trying to say.
Like
okay,
the background,
like
like the street
is your
background.
background, did you come from like maybe a poor background, kind of sort of?
Yeah, I was poor growing up. Yes.
All right, so when you was poor, didn't you have something to offer? Couldn't people learn from you,
Like,
or no?
are you saying as a child, a teenager, a young adult?
Whatever experience you had, then you know people where you were that had something to offer, maybe not money, but intellectually they wasn't just totally brain dead.
So you're asking me, did I have anything to teach other people?
Yes, you had like the people that you came up around that was poor. If you came up in a poor neighborhood, you you had something to offer, you just were poor.
Well, I think I'm a little confused on the way you're stating the question. I had a mentor that I encountered when I was in a teenager. I did live in a low income neighborhood. I guess there's different levels of poor. My poor was bad, but not as poor as other people would, as some other people. But I didn't have much. I did encounter a mentor when I was 13 that put me on the path of technology.
Okay. You talking
And
about far? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead. Say what you were saying.
Yeah, you talking about as far as like jobs and whatnot, but human beings, bro, no matter what station of life, have something to offer as long as that we're willing to sit and it depends on what we're talking about. So if you're talking about jobs or figuring out how to make more money or something like that. If they're in a impoverished state, they may not have as much as you have to offer if you have moved past that. So I think I'm trying to figure out like where your question is coming from. Are you saying that
No, well,
people
my
in the street?
question,
Okay.
no, my question is, people, when we're talking about you can take knowledge from the streets, my question is, what type of knowledge would a street guy, can a street person give me?
Oh, okay.
Because me, myself, growing up, I didn't learn anything from people in the streets. I only learned something from a person who was educated, who had a skill and mastered a skill and was able to teach me.
Can I
Well,
answer that?
oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gab. I'm sorry.
No, all right, and peace to you. I think what you learn from the street, like the mentality of the street and how to deal with people, you're gonna learn some of the greatest skill in dealing with people at a low level because number one, they are some of the hardest people to deal with sometimes. So you're picking up a great level of skill in the management of men and women at that
Yeah,
level right there. You
Well,
just
what I
have
learned,
to.
I'm sorry, go
Uh-huh.
ahead. I was going to
Yeah,
answer
you
what you were
just have to
saying.
learn to harness. You have to like learn how to learn from different people on all levels and take it with you. Of course, it can be elevated. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds like you elevated your whatever it is, but there was something you picked up from wherever you were as a human being. It's natural. And you're going to learn. So
I
I
mean,
might not.
honestly, to keep it 100, I learned to avoid them and keep
Well,
myself
I
out of
agree.
any situations, which is why like I felt bad. I felt whenever Rudem talks about his personal life, like I truly feel bad because I learned very early on, like when I was growing up, I was into sports like every other black kid in the country, and I played the
Mm,
basketball games and went to the tournaments, and growing up in New York, you bust somebody's ass. Next thing you know, you got to square up with them on the court because they mad that you beat them. And after a while, even though you're a big kid, like I was big from age. I'm a big guy. I'm like 6'3". So even after a while, you get tired of people testing you. So you know what? I went like, you know what? I'm cool on that. Let me go ahead and go in these computers now because all the squaring up and fighting shit in the street, like going
Yeah,
back and forth after school, like you get tired of that after a while. Even as a young child, you like, what? I don't want to deal with that. Let me just go in here in this computer
I
room.
got you.
Let me learn how to type and all that other stuff. So
I
I
got you.
guess my comment would be like when I was younger, like I learned how to elevate it above it very early on. So I don't have the kind of stories where I was in bookings, I was in juvie, the cops know my name and things like that. I have all these different friends in the street. They got gunned down because of different gangs and stuff like that. Like that's not part of my life story because I just
I got you.
separated
I
myself
got you.
from them.
But don't you care about kids like yourself that might be left behind?
I mean, I feel bad for kids that are in those situations, but I'm gonna say something that's gonna hurt people's feelings. At some point, you still have to make a decision.
true.
Like I know it's bad. Like it's bad
Mm,
if you have a kid that comes from a single parent home or two parent home, and he gets caught up because his cousin's in the gang, and then his other cousins in the gang, his brother's in the gang, so he kind of joins the gang, and his brothers die because of the drive by, or their mother's a prostitute, and they go run away and they start doing drugs. These are all very unfortunate stories, but the problem is that you have a choice. Like
What do you think?
I
What
at
do
one
you
time was
think
in a
should
very
be
bad
done with?
situation in my
Okay,
life, and I had to make choices.
right. What do you
yeah.
think should be done with that element, brother? 'Cause that's what I think I need to know. What do you think should be done with poor people and with the element of maybe less than educated, the less fortunate? What do you think should be done with them? And I'm gonna shut up after that.
To ask what should be done about poor people is like very diverse, because at one point, like, it's not always about education, you know, because poor people can go to schools, and the poorest places in the country, in our country, these kids are still able to go to school, so it's not that. I think it's just it's one part, there's no real like community culture, and in the second part, I think people really make bad decisions, and when these people make these bad decisions, they raise their families in even worse decisions, and then instead of trying to change their personal decisions, they kind of just stay stagnant and they pass that on to their children.
See, Carl, look at. See, one of the main things I learned from the actual street shit when I was in that dumbass shit is that the grimy side of it, man. You realize that like nothing can fool you no more. All right, no person, no nothing. You never can trust the way you probably could trust when you was a young person. All right, like any given time you could die. Any given time you can go to jail. Any given time somebody can set you up. Like for instance, I'll give you an example. When I got shot at. I didn't get shot, but niggas was shooting at my ass. Me and my people and shit, they were shooting at us when I was 24. And after that day, I realized, like, man, well, what if I would have got my ass killed? And do these niggas give a fuck if that I had plans? Even though I was involved in this dumbass shit myself, though, but I'm like, man, don't nobody even give a fuck if you had any goals or plans for yourself. Niggas willing to kill your goddamn ass. Niggas willing to shoot at your ass. And then also, when I was 26, I did a whole year in county jail. 26 till I was 27. Got out at 27. And I realized then, I just wasted a whole motherfucking year in jail for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was this shit worth it? But I realized it was grimy shit that had me in this shit. I'm talking about the niggas you dealing with, the element that don't nobody give a fuck about you. And when you apply that to your everyday life, you wonder why I'm so amped up, why I'm already ready to go and shit. It's not because I really want to be this way, fool. It's not because I was born this way. It's because I understand that this is how you got to be to survive this shit, fool. Even in business, whether it's in relationships, whether it's at school, you got to be always on go. Nothing is taken for granted no more. And especially, I'm gonna give you one example. I don't want to get too deep up into my personal shit, but back when I was going around hitting these little licks and shit, back when I was younger, like I say 26, 27. Well, no, I was 26, I was in jail. After I got out of jail, 27, 28, we was hitting these little licks. And then I realized that, man, you putting your life on the line, you're taking all these bullshit ass risks. And the last thing you want is a motherfucker to be playing with you when you think about, I could have died tonight, fool. You don't want no nigga playing with you no more. You see what I'm saying? You don't want nobody getting away with that grimy ass shit no more. Nigga can't run game and run con on you. Can't no bitch get in my face and smile and set me up. I see these hoes set niggas up. Niggas get robbed and shit. Man, it was a situation where this one bitch was fucking this nigga, fucking this dude. And these niggas came and robbed that nigga while this bitch was fucking this nigga. They pulled the bitch off this nigga, robbed his ass, and took the bitch with them. This is the shit you see in the goddamn streets. This shit is fucking dirty, my nigga. I'm saying it's no game for niggas to be sitting around playing games with you all day. You understand me? So if you want to say when they gonna learn from the streets, that's what you learn is that part. Like nobody's your goddamn friend. Nobody love your ass. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Let me go. Can everybody hear me? I had to change my mic.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was something wrong with my system. Something wrong with my system. I got to fix it. Let me just say this. I'm hearing you, Rue, about the things you saw on the street. But keep in mind, some of us, I can't speak for everybody else on the panel. I can damn sure speak for myself. Some of us have seen stuff on the streets. I've seen people get their head blown through. I didn't grow up in no damn suburb. I came from the streets as well. I saw people, I was around pimps. I was around gangsters. I was around people who got killed selling crap. I've seen a homeboy of mine, cousin, got his head blown off because he was messing around with a girl who still had a boyfriend that was jealous. So I've seen a lot of grimy stuff too, brother. But at some point in my mind, I say, I use those experiences to say that's where I don't want to be anymore. That's what I don't want to see anymore. I know it's a reality, but at some point in time, you grow, you learn from it, and then you grow as a man, as a person, and you say, I'm a man now. That was what I did as a child, as a boy, and you elevate yourself from that. Although you got people that you know, maybe even your family that still live that lifestyle, you got to, you still keep a certain groundedness to that lifestyle because you got friends that still. but don't let it always consume you, because at some point in time, you got to get to a point where it's not even part of your vocabulary anymore. That's just growing as a man. But Rue, I respect what you're saying, brother. We sometimes when we get on YouTube, we kind of talk about stuff. Everybody has their channels and they philosophize this and they philosophize that. But sometimes we need some real talk, okay? Instead of people acting like they master teachers and stuff, we need to hear some real talk from young brothers like yourself so that we can grow. And it reminds us as older brothers like myself that we need to keep the common touch to our young. Now, if you don't mind, brothers, before I end it tonight, I need to let Man of Tomorrow put some words in. I want to get back to Ruby, Classy Ruby, to get a few words in. We got Art back on. I want to let Reg have some few words before we put it into it tonight. This has been fantastic, by the way. I want to tell y'all, this is fantastic. And I got an idea. I talked about this yesterday with some of the brothers that came into the chat room. We had a lot of people in here yesterday. I've been talking about we should create this thing called like a YouTube festival, sort of like what we're doing tonight, where we have a schedule. And each person does a live stream from the day and all the way running into the night. And so the crowd goes to one brother's channel, one sister's channel, whoever goes to the next channel. And we talk about topics like this, and we expand upon the topics in each person's channel, going from the daytime all the way into the late night. A total marathon for festival. Something that I've been talking to a few brothers about. So this is sort of like a yesterday, and what we're doing tonight is sort of an example of that, how people go from one channel to another and everybody converge on each channel and support each channel, subscribe to people's channels, all that good stuff. So that's something that we should really definitely consider doing, because I think it'll be a fantastic thing, especially going into the holidays. Now, with that said, Man of Tomorrow, take it over, brother.
All right. It's good to hear everybody's perspectives here and what's going on, and everybody can be able to respond in a cordial manner. That's everybody got valid points of view. It's just that don't get stuck in those places, man. You got to be able to just roll out and move out from that, because I got like a little brother. He's still in that stuff. I feel bad sometimes, man, but it's still individual choices, man. And no matter what these people talk about, no matter what you dude, these people are not controlling you, man. You are choosing to do some of this stuff. And once you step off the hamster wheel of doing this stuff, and somebody could be able to show you something different, like I'm trying to teach people, it's just a lot better, man. And you just got to get away from these fake ass older people who ain't got shit to show you but a brick wall. That's all I got to say.
He's telling truth. Let me that statement that you said deserves a clap, brother. All right, brother. All righty. That was man. I'm telling you, it's a classic one tonight. Let me go over to Classy Ruby. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing well. The conversation today has been really interesting, really stimulating. I'm really glad it went in this direction.
Well, I want to thank you for being patient. A lot of, how Black folks, we can be long-winded. But go on, sister.
Well, and you know what? I mean, this was one of those ones where at the end of the day, this is a conversation really between men. So, you've got the younger male generation talking to the older male generation, so, it's not a conversation that necessarily women need to be up in the middle in anyway. So I was happy to sit back and, allow it to happen. And I'm glad it did. I just want to bring up something and expand on it that I mentioned in the chat, which is this conversation just reminded me so much of the song Mr. Wendell. I don't know if y'all remember that song, but
that's development.
Facts.
Yep, love that song. But it came down to that, and it's just like the whole song is talking about how Mr. Wendell, yeah, sure, he's a homeless bum on the street. He can't necessarily tell you how to succeed, but he can certainly tell you how he failed. You know, there's a lot of wisdom in failure. There's a lot of wisdom in that repeated failure. There's a lot of wisdom in just having lived it and seen it and, you know, gone through things that maybe you went through, but they made a slightly different choice. But they also got to watch people make your choices and different choices than you and watch how that all worked out. But, you know, even back in the 90s, you know, Generation Xers then were wanting to dismiss the Mr. Wendells and, you know, the ones who, well, you're not, you know, in the ivory tower in the sky where I want to be. So, you know, fuck whatever you have to say. Or, you know, well, you failed worse than me. So fuck whatever you have to say. Sorry for swearing. But, you know, that's what it comes down to is we want to be really dismissive of the people who, you know, never reached where they wanted to be, and never reached, you know, some area of success per se. But, you know, like, it's funny, I'm using this quote in one of my videos, but, you know, Thomas Edison said, you know, he never failed. He just found 10,000 ways it wouldn't work. So, you know, at the end of the day, knowing those 10,000 ways, there's a million ways that this path isn't going to work. There's one way that it will. And the knowledge, experience, something that someone imparts on you, one way or the other, whether you think it's valuable or not, could be the thing that clicks in your head in 5 years from now. Might not be relevant now, but 5 years from now, it could be worth the world. You know, I think that that's part of the problem. And I think that I get the fact that, you know, I think it's more the Generation Xers than anything, are really overly aggressive with wanting to, you know, impart that wisdom in a way that maybe isn't always helpful because it's, you know, there's a lot of, you know, ego, there's a lot of testosterone involved, there's a lot of, well, listen, what I know is still valuable, pay attention, listen to me, you know, talking down to the younger generation, like, well, you're a millennial, so I'm going to speak to you like you're 20, even though you're actually in your 30s, because millennials, you know, it's not like it's like a 5 year period and you're, you know, late teens, early 20s here. I'm talking about a lot of grown-ups, some people who have already gotten married, had children, gotten divorced, you know, gone to prison, lived lives that, you know, some of these Generation Xers never would have been able to get through. So, you know, I think that there's got to be a lot more respect. You know, and I feel like that's just across all the divides in our community. There's no respect. There's no reciprocal respect. You want people to hear what you have to say. You know you have valuable wisdom to impart, but you're not willing to address the people that you think are worth your time and worth your words. You're not willing to address them with respect. You're not willing to, you know, go about this with some type of respect. Well, why would they hear you? Why would they listen to you? You know, and it's something that I know for me, at least, you know, being Jamaican, it's something that when I was a kid, it was a big thing. Children should be seen and not heard. And, you know, when you're younger, so even if you're 40, if someone's 60, you know, you're a youth. You're not, you might as well not be speaking. You're just air. And the thing is, which is absolutely ridiculous about that, is they're going to disrespect you. They're going to mock you. They're going to be dismissive of you. And at the same time, they expect you to turn around now and want to take the time to open your ears, open your mind, sometimes open your heart, and really take in what they have to say. So I think we need to stop dismissing those that are younger than us, and realize there needs to be an open line of communication back and forth. At the end of the day, the way that things work evolutionarily, back in the days, 10,000 years ago, that's when we stopped evolving, was that cultural transmission went from the elders down to the youth. You have to remember that, again, being in the 21st century, where really these kids, because they're born to adapt to anything, these kids, there's like 8-year-olds who understand more about the world in some ways than 50-year-olds do. So, you know, we got to be in a place where we're willing to kind of reciprocate. I know someone did say this. We have to be in this reciprocal respect and reciprocal communication where, the younger generations actually do have knowledge now that they can impart on us. And the younger generations need to realize that, you know what, even though everything that they know and everything they went through might be obsolete in some ways, there's still an inherent wisdom underlying those lessons that, you know, we should really take the time to think about and to use to steer ourselves.
Okay. Can I say something? Because I gotta leave in a few real quick. Um, I'm gonna try to make it quick. I'm like I said, I'm an educator myself, and I also teach on the college level, and I have my fair share of dealings with millennials. And wow. Um, First, I want to say, I mean, because a brother was asking what what can you learn from the streets or what have you? I think that's what he asked.
What can you learn from people in the street? What can you learn from street people?
Okay. Well, if people, I mean, if you, how can I say, when when I have my college classes, I hope you understand that a lot of street people are in college. Also, just because we say it's a street doesn't always mean that it's negative. There's positive and negative in the street, in the educated sector, or whatever it is. It's always positive and negative. So basically, if you're dealing with the street, like the sister was saying earlier, there's going to be there's some people that are probably down on their luck that's going to tell you what they went through so you don't have to go through it yourself. Okay. Also, there's people that probably were, had a decent life, but down in their luck afterwards. And then you get, I'm just saying is that you have to really know every aspect of your people in order for you to go forward. So yeah, maybe some people from the street say, well, the white man did this or whatever. Well, just because you weren't there, it doesn't mean that you have to dismiss that experience. Because basically, last time I checked, most of us are not doing so well as a people. So you got to be able to, peel the layers and blow the dust off the boxes to find out, okay, how did I get here? If you try to dismiss that, all you're going to do is repeat the same thing, And then I guess on the younger or the millennials, uh, to their defense, I think what we're not really addressing is that you have a lot of Gen Xers and probably even baby boomers are not men yet. They're still boys, 50-year-old boys, 60-year-old boys. And
Exactly.
all they're trying to do is try to turn the younger people as a competition, because they probably didn't really have a real childhood, so they're going to try to get it from someone else. That's the frustration that I hear the younger people are saying, but I don't know if they're actually addressing it in that form. So, what I would say to millennials, you have to really distinguish who's mature and who's not. So you want to emulate, because sometimes when I hear you guys, you still emulate the boy factor of the people that you don't like. You need to emulate the masculine, or I'm talking about the young males or the brothers, millennial brothers. You have to emulate the mastery of men that you admire. Okay, if you can emulate that, I think you go a lot further, and then more people start crowding around you and see the wisdom of the things you say. Just because you have a thought does not mean it is an absolute thing. Like you had the same experience as a Gen Xer or a baby boomer. You got to take. I mean, everyone has to take their turn. Okay, so you got to be patient with your growth and just don't allow anything to change your aspiration or try to detour whatever greatness you're trying to do. Because that's the thing that I keep hearing sometimes, that you're complaining about people that's impeding your progress, but there's other people that are there to assist you along the way that you're probably ignoring. So that's the best that I can say so that's my 2 cents. Peace, fam. So you guys take care. I gotta roll.
Peace.
Peace to the brother. Peace to the brother. Hey, can I want not rude. Info. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
No, we can hear you. He just muted.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
I'm muting myself.
I'll
Yes,
just
sir.
make sure. Yeah, I didn't want to. I knew you was trying to exit. I was gonna ask the brother a question. That's C, his name. Yeah, C.
Yeah, go ahead, brother, because I want and make it brief because I want to get to Brother Reg. He hasn't spoken for a while now.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm gonna wait, brother. I'm gonna wait. Go ahead.
Brother Reg, you have anything you want to add before we conclude tonight?
Well, we have a problem. That's all to it. There's been a disconnect with the young and the old for a long time and stuff. I don't see how we can solve it because I think with the millennial problem is there a lot of them can't go by the media. They get a lot of their facts and whatever they see from the media, and then at the same time, they want to see instant results. They want to see somebody show them how to get the money, just like this, bam, bam. They're not waiting for put in the hard work to do it like we did back in the generation. You had to work hard and build your business up and like that. I think AM1 was talking about that. They want instant gratification like that, and that's it. I think that had to do with the whole society too. But it seems like the black community is way more affected by it. And anyway, they want to see the ratchet shows and stuff. Those are the biggest shows. I don't know. You look at reality TV and stuff with the the Pop and Love and stuff like that. That's them there. There's none of us on there. Well, there's a few of us on there, but majority that's for them.
Mm-hmm.
See, they're not worried about us, Generation X or the baby boom. They looking at the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
yes, if
they got them under control, they can do whatever they want to do. And that's what they want. They want them completely plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you black, white, anything. Yeah, they got them plugged in. They can make them do anything they want them to do. So you trying to tell them, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, this and that and the third. They gonna look at you crazy and stuff. I said, you ain't did nothing for me, this and that and that. So it's like mind control. So sometimes it's hard to talk to them, but then there's some out there that will listen, and that's the ones only you can help. Basically, if they don't want to listen, then you can't force them. They got to learn themselves. But we come into a point, a crossroad, where is that things is going to drastically change in this country. We talking about technologically wise. They're going to say new technology coming in and stuff, and robots and all this stuff. Automation. You're already seeing it already. So that's all I gotta say, man. That's all.
Okay, Reg, I appreciate you being on. You've always been very gracious in allowing me to come over to your platform and run my mouth. So
oh yeah.
I definitely want you to run your mouth. I definitely want you to run your mouth and speak your mind over here. So look, brother, I'm gonna be doing a lot more of these kind of panels. So I definitely will be. I'm lucky because I can send you direct links. I got Man of Tomorrow on because I got them connected to my system. So I'm gonna be doing a lot more of this, connecting you guys on. We might be doing some of these late night ones like this sometimes from time to time, because I notice at this time of the night, sometimes we're the only show in town. A lot of folks, that live in the East Coast, they're sleeping right now. We're in the West Coast.
Yeah, it's only 11 here, so I mean, it's not that late. Not that late.
I don't have. I don't have.
Probably be better. I'll probably be way much lively, but now it's kind of. I've been doing a lot of stuff today.
Yeah, so. For me it's like a vacation. I won't be going back to work until Tuesday, so I can sleep in tomorrow and go work out, so it don't matter. Mm-hmm. But let me go to Gab Talk Media. He had a question for Brother C, and then we're gonna swing it back over to my man Lions Den, and then let Man of Tomorrow have his last words. We're gonna let Sister Ruby give us the last words for the night on the panel. That is, go right ahead, Gab.
Okay. Yeah, I had missed so much of the show The brother C, the question is I, what do you think in terms of the folks that are in the street? I was trying to figure out exactly what your position is, like, because when you ask, what do people from the street, what do they have to offer? If the answer was nothing, is your answer that they have nothing to offer? Let me ask it that way first.
As far as my personal life, I can't speak on everything, because if you want to learn about some form of relationships with women, I believe maybe a person who's a former pimp would be able to give you some information that would be helpful. But as far as things in my personal life, I've never met a street person that was actually able to give me any type of useful information. Like I said, for the most part, I just avoided the streets and street people altogether. And I met and I actually linked up with people who actually mastered a skill and learned from them. So in my life road, my journey, I've never really met met with any person of the streets that actually had any knowledge to give upon to me.
Okay, so very little to offer. So my question, the follow up to that, is because they have very little to offer, what are your thoughts about a group of people that you deem having nothing to offer? What are your thoughts about their trajectory in life? And what's the society do with that group of people?
Well,
or for that group of people?
Well, society doesn't have to do anything for anyone. You still have to, you control your own realm of influence. You control your life. No matter what, what type of situation you're in, or what type of situations you have, you still have a choice. The problem is that we think that people who are in these bad positions, that other people have to help them out, and no, you don't. Like, they need to get themselves together. Like, I was
So the
in
answer is nothing, right? The answer is nothing. Nobody should do anything. Okay.
That actually wasn't my answer. I was actually giving you my answer.
Okay. Go
my
ahead.
answer is that they have to help themselves and get themselves out of whatever situation that they have.
Right. It's their problem.
Yeah, it is their problem. Yes.
Okay.
Let me ask C a question though on this topic. When you were growing up, I know you said you got away from the street element as much as you could. When I grew up, I could not get away from the street element. All I could simply do is learn from the mistakes of other people, keep my head in the right place. I was an athlete, so basketball, going to the gym, staying in the gym, staying busy in activities kind of kept me out of trouble. And the question is, to you point blank, is that how were you able to really avoid, how can you say, let's see, when you say people, you leave them, some people you got to leave behind. Some people will continue to do the same thing that is a detriment to themselves, and sometimes you've got to leave people behind. You got to make hard decisions. But how were you able to really move yourself forward from people of that lifestyle if you grew up around it? How were you able to avoid it? What were your coping mechanisms? What were your things that you did to avoid that lifestyle?
Well, I had no problem like leaving people behind, because simply put, because like I said before, I was able to connect with a mentor early on, and I had a space that I was able to be in where I didn't have to deal with that. And a lot of, like, going back to personal decisions, I chose after school to go home, do my homework, and go to the after school center and stay there and do all the activities they had in the after school center. And then after that was done, I chose to take myself back home. I didn't choose to hang out on the corner. I didn't choose to hang out around the basketball courts. I didn't choose to roam the city and roam the streets at dark with different people. I chose to do what I had to do as a kid, as a child. Now, you know, like I'm going to keep going back. These are personal decisions that people make. Like if you're trying to get out of a situation, you should say, hey, this is the situation. At 13, 14, 15, and 16, I just said to myself, okay, I don't want to hang out in front of the project buildings. I'd rather just go home, play some video games, and relax and chill. I don't want the police to know my name and run up on me while I'm sitting down because they know they may have something on me. I don't want people in the streets to know my name. I only people I want to know my name or my family and my mentor and my close friends, and that's it. That's how you remove yourself from those situations. It's hard because a lot of people don't grasp that concept early on, and it takes a lot of adverse type of events to happen to them for them to actually figure that out. So when people tell me what should we do with people in those situations, and yes, I had peer pressure as well. What we should do about those people's situations, they need to make better personal life decisions. Like I'm going to keep saying it again. Like I was in a very bad situation many years ago, and several times I was in this bad situation, and I made the right personal decisions to get out of that situation to where I'm here now talking to people like you guys on this platform. So when people tell me about what should we do for people in bad situations, I have no tears for them. They have to make personal decisions to get themselves out of that.
Understandable. Interesting. Okay, well, let me slide it back over to Lions Den. You have any last words, brother? Lions Den?
Yeah.
Okay, he's not there.
Yeah.
Come
Okay.
on, Brown, brother.
I'm here. Yeah. My last word is that always strive and believe in yourself, and never let nobody tell you anything different. And that is the last word, brother.
Get some rest. I know you're tired. It's super early. I know you're back in the East Coast, so I know you're tired, Lions Den. We'll get back at it. We need to get back at our pre-produced videos that we were doing in the past too, brothers. I know when I'll talk to you privately, we'll get that going again. And I got to get those sound bites from Gab that we were talking about some months ago. Let me swing it back over to Man of Tomorrow. If he has any last words. I'm glad that he was able to come on board as soon as I sent him the link.
All right. For the street dudes who there's always a path of redemption for everybody. It's just that you can't reach too far down beneath the water to where you can't breathe in order to rescue. They have to be in a position to where they can be reached. And all these things are small decisions. That's how they end up there. Sometimes, you have kids, you kind of get trapped in that circle, but it's just that I met a lot of reformed people in business. I meet them all the time. It's just that they had to decide that they had enough of that life. If they wanted to leave that particular neighborhood, if they wanted to go to a particular part of the state or even a part of the city, if they're in a big city or not, to where they wanted to have that factory job or somebody give them a shot. That way they didn't have to do that stuff. So, these are all personal decisions. And I'm not going to write them all off. I'm just saying for the people who are unreformed, those people who I can't, work with. But there's a path to redemption for everybody. And for us to try to enforce change on these people is pretty much talking about the best drug counseling that somebody just pretty much isn't going to engage in. They have to show up to the class. They have to do the work because they have the addiction. The only thing we could do is just cheer them on from the sideline. They have to enter the stadium, so to say, play ball. So they do have things to offer. It's just that they have to come to the path of redemption, so that way they can have both ends in the perspective. So that way they can offer something. But most times when people are in these situations, they don't have anything to offer. That's pretty much why they're in that situation in the first place. So it's a horrific set of circumstances. I wish people wasn't in it, but that path of redemption got to start with them. So, all right. Thanks so much for all your time, man. Y'all have a really nice day.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Have a good night.
Oh, everybody done? Okay. My everybody did their final words.
Oh, well, I haven't yet, but you can please go ahead.
Okay. It's good to know. I'm glad y'all had this type of panel, and what I'm learning from the different parts of us as melanated people is that we, obviously we feel different ways about roles and responsibility as it relates to the legacy that a negative history has left us. And it's interesting that many of us have, and I'm not saying that it's all bad, but many of us have adopted a pull yourself up by your own bootstrap mentality. And, I'm learning to understand that we just are all different in the ways that we're going to go about this. And so the audience has something to evaluate and something to help them make decisions on what mentality they will have with respect to the future of our nation. And so, all I can do is appreciate the honesty of the contributors on the various panels that I've been listening to. So, whereas years ago I would have been upset with the brother C, I'm kind of learning to kind of just recognize that we see things a little a little differently. And I think as time moves forward, just like I grew to approach things differently, I'm sure that the brother will grow in ways that where he will approach things differently. And we always do things better. And I'm not saying that he's supposed to move into my way of thinking. I'm saying that, you know, human nature kind of moves us forward, and we usually gravitate toward the light and get better as we get older. And so I just appreciate the truth that the honesty that I'm starting to hear, so we can make better decisions. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Gab Talk Media, thank you for being here. I'm going to bring it over to Ruby to say the last words for the panel, and then I'll give my last word and end the show. Thank you all for being here tonight. Go ahead, Classy Ruby.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to just say, because I was listening to the story, and, it occurred to me that one of the things I think a lot of people overlook is how important that kind of programming you give to your child in the first 5 or 6 years is. For me, I was homeless in my teen years. A lot of bad things were happening in my life. And ultimately, what I ended up defaulting into was that training kind of that I got. Somehow or another, I managed to avoid a lot of pitfalls that women especially, hit. For example, well, you don't have any money, you don't have anywhere to live, well, sex is an easy thing to sell. it never occurred to me to become sexually loose or to use my sexuality as some type of weapon, even against myself, or as a form of income, because of the training I had from my mother my whole life that told me I was beautiful and special and precious, and I'm a gift to be given. I'm not something to be squandered, kind of thing. Before I even understood what the hell she was talking about, I had that in my mind. Now, that's the first thing I wanted to say. But the thing is that, there was a solid decade of my life. I had great parents, and then all of a sudden I turned 15 and it all changed for me almost overnight. I literally went from having a relatively, I'll say, sheltered life to literally having no parents, no support, no one who cared. It was like they lost their minds. And I mean, this happens when you have teen parents, is they go through periods where suddenly they're not ready for a child of your age or a child at all. And so with my parents, that age kind of came when they hit their, I'll say, 30s or so, around the age that I'm at now, where they didn't want a teen kid. They weren't ready for that mentally. They had given up enough of their lives. I could technically work for myself. So what's the problem? And, eventually they kind of went back to the way they were. But it's that 10-year period of my life. And I just think about the fact that, I didn't fall into the pitfalls and I didn't magically teach myself. It would be ignorant of me to think that that's what I did. And I think that, as far as, Gab Talk was just saying, we need to start dealing in some honesty. Honesty is really good, because when you can be really, really honest, you can go look back, stop for 5 seconds and be really honest. And you can start asking yourself the who, what, where, when, and why. And you'll start to realize that you had teachers, you had mentors, whether they were intentionally teaching you or not, because one of the ways that we get taught things is through modeling. Someone else does it and we see that. And even though they're not intentionally trying to teach us, they are. We don't live in a bubble. We're human beings, we're herd animals. So, there's no way that you can say, well, hey, I made it through all this hard times in my life and no one pointed me in the right direction. No one let me know what to do. No one, just gave me a way to go when I made the right decision that kind of forced me down the right path or something. So I think what we need to do is start being really honest about exactly how we got to where we are. When you're going to say, well, no one on the streets ever taught me anything or whatever, well, maybe they didn't directly teach you something, but again, if you survive the streets, it's because someone taught you something about how to survive it. If you were able to rise above, so you had all of the faculties and all of the skills, not to just mentally rise above, but to physically be able to follow through on that mentality and keep doing the right thing. Because there's a lot of kids and honestly young adults who mentally have risen above in some way, but then physically they follow through and they do this stupid shit with their peers and they ruin opportunities and so on and so forth. And we can't say, hey, I lived in a bubble and I just did it on my own. That's not really being honest. That's giving yourself a lot of credit, and that's good when you need an ego boost or a confidence boost. But if you're being really honest, there was always someone there at some point, some type of nudge. Is it a teacher? Is it a peer? Is it someone who just made sure that, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, you're walking home in a rough neighborhood and they made sure that, no one was coming for you or forcing you into the gangs or whatever the case is. I think sometimes if we're just a little bit more honest, we can start looking at the other side, the people that we feel are other than us because their experiences are different or their perspectives are different. And we can start looking at them and say, hey, you know what? I kind of get it. We're not so different after all. Hey, yeah, we're all human and our underlying psychology is the same. Our underlying group is the same. So as a result, we should be able to find enough common ground to start working through these problems, giving the kind of credit where credit is due in our lives, and then maybe, taking on that saying, each one teach one, lifting as we rise, do for others what was done for you, But also, hey, you know what? If it wasn't done for you, but it would have been encouraging, it would have been a good thing. You saw others that were at your age in that position and they needed a role model and they fell off because they didn't have one. Hey, why not go back into the community and give something that we clearly are lacking, especially, unfortunately, with our men, with all of the craziness that's happening between the incarceration rates, deaths, between terrible baby mama drama in the court systems and whatever. We know that there's a lacking there. So you know what, why aren't we, instead of saying trying to point fingers and say, hey, listen, y'all didn't do it, I did it, look at me, I'm the greatest. Okay, great, well, you did it. Why not go back into the community now and share with them, share with these youngsters who are at that place who need to know? Why not share with them what it was that you did? And I don't mean, oh, well, I got good grades and I applied for a scholarship and whatever. I mean that nitty gritty day to day that kept you on a path where you didn't fail, where you didn't fall into the traps, and you were able to get to where you are. So those are basically my final thoughts and information, man. I'm so excited. I was finally on your panel today. I've been looking forward to finally getting up here. So thank you very much for having me.
Oh yeah,
Great conversation,
and look,
everyone.
definitely, and Ruby, look for the interview, sister. We'll be getting you back on for more stuff, more subject matters. But I definitely have to look at it around solutions. Now, I don't know everybody in the chat room that's been up with us right now. I want to give you guys big ups. You were with me last night. We had a big party in here the other night with good subjects. And I want to thank you for coming back again. And I want to know, did we really get to solutions tonight? I heard a lot of, one of the things that we do sometimes as people is we do a lot of finger pointing, and that was the reason why I brought up what I said about we as Generation Xers, we have sort of done some things that our baby boomers have done to us, to millennials, but then at the same time, millennials have to be held accountable for the things that they are not doing or not willing to listen when someone is coming up to them respectfully, trying to peep them on some knowledge. So it's a two-way exchange. They say you earn respect is earned, right? By your behavior, how you move, how you talk, how you deal with a person. So I think Root is right about that in terms of it's about how you speak to young people today. Just the way when I was a younger person, I wanted to be spoke to with some respect. And if an older person talked to me a certain way, I would tune them out as well. That's just human nature. We tune out that which we don't want to hear based on how it's presented to us. But and the fact of the matter is, some things sometimes can't be presented to you in a nice little bow and box. Some things have to be just raw and presented just the way they are. Let me just with that said, brother, any last word before I end this? I know you sitting back patiently, and we appreciate you coming on board tonight. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing swell, quite swell, sir.
Okay, it's got to be super late back there where you are. You in the New York area? My God.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna be quick. I'm gonna be quick because I know you're gonna you gotta tap out. I'm just gonna say I'm really big on personal decisions. I've come from an area where I've watched people make really bad, stupid, fucked up decisions, and that they have to pay for it down the line consecutively. And I've also been in a position where I told the person, hey, this is a bad decision. You shouldn't do this. And they went ahead and did it anyway, which is why like I said, I was able to avoid all of the street nonsense because I made proper decisions. And I think one of the main problem that we have to address is that we need to make proper decisions. If we can just master that simple fact of just making good proper decision making, a lot of problems that we face as a people we wouldn't have. And I also just wanted to put something out there. I think a lot of Black people should look into joining Toastmasters It's a club that's about public speaking, and it's really good for confidence building. And it's something that I think a lot of our people can truly benefit from, because that's a hotbed for linking up and meeting CEOs and presidents and directors of different companies and leaders in their fields and all types of different avenues of learning. So I think if people would just on this stream, listening, watching this, whenever they're watching it, will look up just Toastmasters United. I think that's something that's very beneficial that a lot of Black people can get involved with, and that can actually help solve a lot of the problems that we face when it comes to communication.
Okay, brother, I appreciate you being here. So with that said, everybody in the chat room, if you've enjoyed the program tonight, put a 1 in the chat room. I really appreciate you all being here. We will continue to keep doing this type of content, but I really want to get to solutions. I still ask that question tonight. What we have tonight is we talked about issues tonight. People gave their opinions. People gave their experience. We talked about a little bit of what we should be doing, but solutions is what we need to always continue to think about. Thank you, everybody who put 1s in the chat room. We got to keep thinking about how we can fix these problems that we have, or how we can make adjustments, because the world is moving very rapidly around us. Things are changing all the time. We have to keep up with what the changes are. And Black people, we need to focus on surviving. We have to survive. We have no friends, okay? Nobody likes us. I'm just going to be honest with you. We got immigrants, people coming over here illegally or non-illegal, and they are impacting us economically, Black folks. In California, where I live at, Black people are a done deal in California. We got Mexican gangs trying to kill us in some of the urban environments of Los Angeles. Black people are decreasing at 25% in Oakland. Black people in San Francisco, where I lived at for many years, are damn near non-existent, right? We're being pushed out of there. So there's a lot of changes across the landscape. We have only each other, Black people. We have no friends. Okay. And we better recognize that we are all that we have, because there's nobody else coming to save us. We must save ourselves the best way we can. So thank you, everybody. It's been great. I see we got CO. Let me give a little love to everybody in the chat room that I can read. We got CRU. Thank you, brother. Alan Walker, Classic Ruby's in there. We got Netatiti in there. Kim Coverings. Doug has been doing great tonight. Robin, the girl wonder. Thank you for being here. C. Olivo. Thank you. Toastmasters, yeah, check it out. Aaron Collins, we got Brenda Johnson that's in the house.
Info, that's me. I'm C over.
Oh, okay, brother. I'm okay, brother.
That's my fault. That's my fault. I'm trying to switch my channels, and it's my fault.
Okay.
That's me.
All right. Well, we know it's you now. Thank you. And I think you subscribed to my second channel as a backup. Thank you. Yeah, if you haven't, everybody, let me put that in the chat room right now. I do have a backup channel, but I'm going to actually put some content on it. I think I might do some vlog casting on there, some stuff where I'm filming myself when I'm out and about. And what I really want to do is, instead of filming myself, I want to film people in the community. I've been talking about this for a long time, and it's damn well that I start doing it. I want to go into the community and take the camera and start filming and interviewing young people, getting their opinions on some of these issues that we've been talking about. AM1 has invited me over to Oakland. I can get up to Oakland very quickly, and I'm going to spend a day with him filming what he does in his business, and just spend a great day in Oakland and with the people out there. So I think I might start using that channel as a channel that I will push that content to. I have to see what I have to do. So let me put that in the chat room real quick. That's the second channel. I may start doing some vlog casting on there. Subscribe to that if you can, folks, because you know how YouTube is. They snatch you up real quick. But I think my content so far, I try to stay within the guidelines and because I think in what happens is they have guidelines. And if you say it's the buzzwords, if you start saying certain buzzwords that they don't like, that's how you start losing your channel too. So Black people, we have to learn how to, once again, speak in code on YouTube, recognize the buzzwords, because at the end of the day, we want to maintain these channels so that we can keep putting out information that can benefit people because we are the media. We are the media. The media stuff that's on the dummy tube TV. That's not real media. You turn it on every day. That's all they talk about is Donald Trump. And this, and of course, it was horrific what just happened with those packages that were being sent to various politicians, the Clintons, and all of that kind of crazy stuff that's going on. But we're the real media, black, old black media like the Roland Martin types. That's all dead stuff. We're talking about stuff that nobody in the mass media is talking about when it comes to our people. And I don't think there's anybody in quote unquote black media that's even touching some of the stuff that we talk about. They're just not doing. You got Van Jones, who has a program on CNN. He ain't talking about this kind of stuff. Roland Martin ain't talking about this kind of stuff. Don, the silly lemon, he's not talking about this kind of stuff. None of it. None of it. BET, TV One, they're not talking about this type of stuff. You know, they got, you know, they're giving you all the drama series. So we are giving you the content and reporting the stories from a real, true black perspective. Thank you, everybody. It's been great tonight. I'm going to leave you with some of my usual music. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right. Cheers.
Good night.
Have a
good night, everybody.
night.
Good night.
Peace.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again.
Wait a minute, info. Wait a minute. It's the info man and the Lions Den. It's the info man and the Lions Den. It's the info man and the Lions Den. The info. It's the member info. Whatever you want to know, come join the member info show. It's the info. It's the member info. Whatever you want to know, come join the member info show. It's the info. It's the info. You can call it information info, man. Kicking knowledge, you can bring your hate team, but if you want to win, please don't bring your big hate team.
Have you ever questioned the nature of your reality?
We must take this matter into our own.
Tell us what information is.
Thank you, everybody.
One of the things I told you changed the way you think about your world. Do you know where you are? Information is power.
Now, you know I can't end the show without my usual ending statement, and here it goes.
Let us make a lesson that black folks need to be codified. We've got to stop cooning, love dancing, book making, for cornbread.
Good night.